So, today we're talking about transformation and ascension. So, I feel like, all of us are familiar with teen rebellion, like my terms versus someone else's terms. And I feel like for me, I chose peer pressure and conforming behaviors versus transforming behaviors. Conforming means to fit into the mold, and transforming means to become different. So it's like you take a circle and you make it fit into a square, versus a circle can also transform into a square. So when trying to, I used to try to rebel. So it was like, instead of just doing what I actually wanted to explore, I would do things that other people told me, this is how you do what you want. So even when I was trying not to follow the rules, so, and it includes everything from not being modest, drugs, tattoos, with how my schedule should be, with food, alcohol, sex, music, art, singing, money, health, about kosher, like food, parties, learning, exercise, dancing, basically religion, also college, and even Shabbos, which is the Sabbath, right? And when I look back, I think I wrote this a year ago. It's like, I don't want to be. So these are all the things I don't want to be. And shallow, superficial, easy to buy, cheap, or greedy, needy, desperate, I don't want to play too hard to get or be avoidant. I don't want to be fat, hairy, smelly, tattooed, stubby toes, humpback, too talkative and loud and pushy and dominating, nosy or callous, unable to control urges, impulses, and expressions, whether they're physical or emotional, rebelling too much with the outfit, like the outfit rides up or opens up, or it's not, just basically not put together. I don't want to be ugly, weird, or difficult, above my pay grade, trying to, too much, acting like I know more than I do, or I am more than I am, interrupting, unforgiving, perfectionist, hasty or disciplining, stingy, foolish, not self-aware. I don't want to be robbed, manipulated, used, or betrayed, or exposed. I don't want to be codependent or a food addict, or powerless, egotistical, and defensive, or out of control, or lazy, or arrogant, or overly opinionated, or bossy. I don't want to be inauthentic or fake or panicked, anxious, depressed, unregulated. I don't want to be brainwashed or corrupted, contaminated, or impure, perverting, gossiping, saying falsehood, or saving face. I don't want to be unable to impact. I don't want to be valueless, useless, a waste, unable to make progress, or worthless without influence. I don't want to be a burden, a consumer, a taker, a parasite, lazy, or miserly. I don't want to be unagreeable, ungrateful, negative, and heavy. I don't want to be naive, ignorant, plain, boring, goody two-shoes. I don't want to be self-righteous, revengeful, selfish, or that I can't relate, ignorant, unhelpful, irrelevant, or doesn't understand. I don't want to be angry, hateful, toxic, disturbing, bitter, and shameful. I don't want to be believing illusion or being conned, feeling like a victim, small picture views, closed-minded, low-class, animalistic, and weak and cowardly, rejected, stubborn, stuck, unprotected, subjugated, oppressed, abandoned, unsupported, not welcomed or belonged, or not fitting in. So again, we ended with that, fitting in, right? So transformation. And this is from, as related by Sarah Yehudis Shneider. She says, Rabbi Chanina, from the Oral Torah, talks about how to turn a call, in Hebrew you actually say kol, like a voice, a call, of pain, whether it's constriction or loss or assault, into a prayer. Number one, prayer is called service of the heart. So we have to take a few deep breaths and touch base with our heart. So I want us to have a prayer now. So, basically, if I don't want to be all those things, what do I want to be? Right? So we transform this I don't want to be to the be. So let's think, what can we, each of us call an intention with our heart. I want to be well. I want to be well. I feel like well covers everything. Well, I want to be well. So I want to be well. So let's breathe into the heart wellness. And we can identify what is wanted, what is being prayed for. And can and should probably evolve and change over time. And I covered that for me with wells, because well could mean talking the right amount. It means being dynamic. It means being authentic, genuine at the right moments. It means having protection, but also feeling safe. And it covers all of these in different ways. It relates to each one. I don't want to be toxic. I want to be well. I don't want to be hateful. I want to be well. I don't want to be manipulated. I want to be well, right? For me, a master of prayer knows that whatever one's petition, it is within Hashem's ability to grant it. I believe that Hashem could make me well. When we posture our prayer, we have both a willing and a surrendering. So I want this because I believe it's also what you, Hashem, want for me, and because I believe it's what I'm designed to do. But if I am wrong, please do not answer my prayer, and let me know as gently as possible how to correct my aim. So if I'm not supposed to be well, if for some reason Hashem wants me to be unwell, then Hashem will notify that what I want to be well is coming from a want, an ego place, but not what's in my highest good. So it's hard to believe that not being well is not in my highest good. So it's basically we say, Hashem, I'm willing to be good, to be well. My will is to be well. I would like to be well because I think, Hashem, you want me to be well. And for whatever reasons that I wasn't, I think I had a role in it. So now my willingness, my real choice is to be well. Not just to conform or let other people decide, right? But we also surrender and say, Hashem, but it's up to you, really. What does well mean for me? And if I really am well. And number 5, we follow the Baal Shem Tov's advice and turn our prayer into a class action suit. I'm praying for myself and I'm praying for all the people and creatures who need or aspire to this very same thing, even if they don't know it. So I'm praying that everyone should feel well and be well. Everyone should have wellness in relationship, in health, in finances, in belonging, in their words, in their connections, reciprocity, sovereignty, in the patterns, and in the holistic wellness in all areas, from all relationships. 6, know that if you can accomplish your life purpose with your answered prayer, then Hashem will surely grant your request. The only reason for refusal is that for some mysterious reason your soul mission would be stymied by your answered prayer. So maybe I can only really fully tap into certain things by being unwell. And we recognize now, we say, actually, if Hashem, you don't want me to be well, that's okay too. But I pray for wellness now. I know that by saying I want to be well, I'm already committing to someone as a well person. A well person wants to be well. It's unwell to say I want to be, this or that. So whatever wellness means, we commit to it, but we also say, like, if my purpose is supposed to be maybe like the one who needs to go down into like a scary place, and you would think they're not well, but then they emerge in full wellness, and they could guide others through that scary place where they may not feel well at that moment, or like someone who could say, like, I wasn't well, but now I'm well. So maybe for a while our prayer wasn't answered, but it will be answered. So just this okayness with the wellness or the unwellness, and knowing this, right? And saying, I really wish everyone should feel well. Everyone, whatever they want, they should just feel well. Like, they shouldn't have to worry about all the details. And remember how many horrible things I said? Ungrateful, unagreeable, a burden without cause, unforgiving, ugly, weird, difficult, and above the pay grade. All the things that we don't want to be, just well, right? So Rabbi Chanina was a pure and trusting soul and took things at face value. He didn't spend time analyzing. He could not tolerate Hashem, who's kind, fair, good, recompensing his trusted servants with... He couldn't tolerate that Hashem, who is kind, fair, and good, to recompense his trusted servants with bad or grief or distrust. So he said this in his prayer. His smallness, his cutness could accomplish what bigness or godless couldn't. So bigness is godless, and cutness. He just said Hashem only wants well for me. So there's no way. I have to get a tissue. I'll be right back. He said there's no way that Hashem wouldn't do good for me. Maybe I thought, having a lot of money, having a husband who makes me feel gorgeous, like maybe I thought those things would really bring me to wellness. But actually, when I just outright say, look, I just want to be well, Hashem, and you know what wellness means for me, that's really in a small way almost, instead of all these fancy ideas and sophisticated thinking, we're just straight out wellness. Now, the second topic today is Ascension. But before we go there, I want to say, from Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg, I want to say, I did some meditation on like how thirst takes on a life of its own. And there's a quote somewhere, and I don't know who says it, but it's this idea that like the water tells our mouth to be thirsty. It's the water outside that wants to be drunk. So it's like our mouth becomes thirsty for that water. So it's like whether it's, thinking about what our thirst is, whether it's for time, attention, or someone making an effort for me, gifts, sexual pleasure, surprising me, or not wanting to be cheap, easy, and free, like feeling value. It's the value out there that wants me to be of value, or it's that someone has time, attention, and pleasure and gifts and surprises for me, and that's why I'm wanting it. Needing love and affection and validation, mirroring, wanting affirmations, which includes reassurance, empowerment, encouragement, words of guidance, like supportive words and cheerleader words, right? So that there's words out there that want me to receive them, and that's why I want them. That's how we take on this idea. And also just wishing for more options, maybe setting myself up to not get the better options, because of calling into quick fixes, getting weighed down by the intake, versus being able to wait patiently for something of a higher satisfaction. You could say that's a bigger wellness. To be able to wait for the better thing means I'm more well, versus being so drained that I just have to take whatever I get, instant gratification, quick fix. So we could see here that there's something that's lasting that wants us, and that's why it gives us the strength to get over the quick fix or the short-term gratification in order to have a longer, like instead of the fast indulgence, we could have something with a lasting higher satisfaction. Now, Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg talks about how there are 9 people who ascended to heaven alive. So there's Enoch ben Yerod. He was 365 years old, and this was so that he wouldn't sin. Until then, he was actually good. Then there's Elijah, Eliyahu Hanavi, went up to heaven in fire. Then there's Mashiach. Then there's Eliezer, the servant of Abraham. It said he was doing the tikkun for Canaan. Canaan was he the son of Ham? Yeah, he was the son of Ham, who was the son of Noah, and he was cursed. So he got reincarnated as Yosef, Caleb ben Yefuna. So Yosef is one of Yaakov's children, one of the 12 tribes, and Caleb was ben Yefuna, who basically Kalev and Pinchas. He had two. Once he went and he was with the spies who said bad things about Israel, and the other time they went and they saved Rechav, the one that told them that her people were afraid of Joshua and the people coming, so that they were he basically served twice with he did the right thing. Then they have Og. Then he's also said maybe to be Og, he turned out to be a giant. It says he might have lived through the flood, and actually he told Abraham, that Sarah died, so he had a little bit of credit. He told. He didn't tell Abraham that Sarah died. I'm sorry. He told Abraham that Lot was taken. He was hoping Sarah would, that Abraham would die and he could marry Sarah. So he was so big, it says he had an iron crib. It happens to be that it says that we're going to have our third temple is going to be in iron too. And he was also, so that's, Og was the king of the Bashan, and Moshe killed him eventually. He was a massive giant. And also it says he could be Mashiach. So here we had already Mashiach, so it's interesting. We don't know exactly. And it happens to be that there are anti-souls. Like, I want to pause for a second and say Og is actually said to maybe be an anti-soul of Moshe. So there are anti-souls for each person. So each person has an anti-soul for their self. So it says Moshe had Hamitzri, that he killed the Egyptian. This is said to be possibly the version of, because Moses was raised in the palace, but yet he was a Jew. It says his other self, possibly it was his version that was raised in the palace of Paro. And so maybe his anti-soul was Paro, or maybe it was Og. There was also a prophet, Bilam, who wanted to curse the Jews. He couldn't do it. Or it could be the anti-soul was Korach, the one who did a rebellion against him. So that's what's for Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg. But he does say that Og might have been an anti-soul to Moshe. Okay, then we have Eved Melech Hakushi. He was the one who told the king how Jeremiah was going to die in the pit if he wasn't taken out. And so 30 people were sent to pull him out. And he was called Eved Melech Hakushi, I hear the wind flying around outside. The servant of the king, and it could be he was a Kushi, which is from Kush, or it's trying to say he was a Ethiopian, or that the king was. But it looks like it was that he was. Then there's Yabatz, the son of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. It was or it might have been his grandson, actually. Then we have Batya, also called Bitya sometimes. She was the daughter of Paro. Batya, she first was identified as daughter of Paro. Then she became Batya. These are also for people ascended to heaven alive. So Batya was the daughter of Yah. She got named that later. It says in the Zohar she has an entire chamber to study Torah in heaven with the righteous women. She saved Moshe. Then we have Serach, the daughter of Asher. She brought good tidings to Yaakov that Yosef was actually alive when he thought he was dead. And with songs, when no one could tell him, it would indicate he lost his nevuah, his ability, his prophecy, to know that Yosef was actually alive on his own. And he grieved and suffered for so long, for no reason. She made it bearable, because it would seem like, he had lost this prophecy. How could it be all this time that he was really alive? And I thought he was dead. I grieved, but he couldn't stop grieving. He knew something was wrong because every day he grieved. It was like when someone's actually gone out of the world, their soul could grieve in a different way. But it really caused him pain all the time. And then finally we have Yeshua ben Levi. This was the last generation of the Tanaim. The Tanaim were the part of the people who were the Talmudic era, overlapping the first generation of the Amoram, who met the soul of Mashiach, and they asked Mashiach, the Messiah, when is the arrival? And Mashiach said, today, Hayomi. And then, when Mashiach didn't come, he asked Eliyahu Navi, why Mashiach lied? And Eliyahu Navi, Elijah the prophet, said, Mashiach didn't lie, as per the Tehillim verse, which says, Hayom. He said Hayom, today. Is today as if you hearken to God's voice. So we're talking about ascension and transformation, and I wish you a good night. Bye.